This is going to be the last podcast, at least for a while. It's definitely going to be the last podcast in this format. I've really enjoyed the video aspect of this stuff, and it's kept me honest and it's kept me accountable. And I think it's a big reason for my consistency with the channel, because I've had to do this every single week. I committed to doing a full year of the podcast. And yeah, for now, I'm going to close this chapter. I'm still a little bit undecided as to the future of the podcast. I do really want to continue in some form or another. I might rebrand. At this point, I'm thinking it's going to be an audio only sort of situation, because it just doesn't make sense to me to start a new channel from scratch just to post these videos. I think it's going to be more valuable to the listener, and it's going to be easier definitely for me. And I think it's going to be just more effective in getting the messages across that I want to get across. There's a really sort of weird phenomenon on YouTube at the moment where, unfortunately, it's not like it was the last time I was doing this. You can't just make a video about something and over time it will get views. You need to really have a storyline, a hook. It needs to have quick cuts. You need to keep people's attention. And in terms of the algorithm, in terms of playing the YouTube game, these podcasts are really terrible for that. But one thing that I will say is that unfortunately the format that those videos need to take, the format, the game that you have to play to do YouTube now just doesn't lend itself to many, many things. There are many topics, there are many videos and just messages, concepts that I want to get across, content that I want to make that genuinely is very, very useful. Like I've got a big, big list of videos that I want to make in my notes that I just can't justify making because I know I'm going to spend, and let's be honest, when I make a video, since I started doing this a year ago or over, I think it was July last year, I started up the channel again. I've made 100 videos since then. That's pretty much another full-time job in itself. If I'm being 100% honest, to make my weekly videos, even if it's just a 6-7 minute video, it pretty much takes 2 whole days. Maybe half a day is out shooting if I'm out doing something, and at least a whole day of editing, usually more, plus titles, thumbnails, links, all of that stuff. Plus just when you're doing it for yourself and there's no actual deadline, there's no one breathing down your neck, things just take longer because it's just when it gets too hard, it's easy to just make an excuse and go and do something else. So I would say at least 2 days to make each video. Where was I going with that? So there's all these topics, there's all these really good things that I want to share that I think, my audience and my potential audience in the future would get a lot out of, lessons that I've learned or things that I've figured out. And I really want to preface this by saying that I never want to come across as I am the guru or the expert. I'm just along the journey, and I'm sharing things that I am coming across along the journey that I'm learning and that I am finding on my own journey. I never want to come across as holier than thou. That's not the point. But these things that, in my opinion, are so valuable, there are really, really important things that it's not worth me making the video. The time spent and the reward that I get from it, for 200 or 300 views on most of my videos, it's just not worth doing. And to be honest, the vast majority of the videos that I've done over the last year and a half has been, I've just had to make something every week, right? I've committed to a video a week and then 2 videos a week, at least the podcast. That was one way to keep me honest. Again, that was all about consistency. I committed to the full, year, mainly because most people start podcasts and don't continue them after a week or, after 5, 10, 15 episodes. So I really wanted to give it a full year. But yeah, secondly, because I wanted it to keep me consistent and honest. So yeah, I'm currently I'm revisiting a bunch of books and audiobooks that I found really, really useful. And amongst this writing, there are things hidden sort of deep in these books, little nuggets of wisdom that I've found in the past and I'm finding again and rediscovering that have genuinely changed the course of my life. Just little quotes, sound bites, anecdotes, examples that if you're not paying attention, you might miss. But without exaggeration, they've actually changed the way that I live my life and I think about them on a daily or weekly basis. And in thinking about that, I just keep relating it back to my videos. There's so many things that I want to talk about. There's so many ideas I have for content that just I know won't convert, that just won't turn into views. And unfortunately, at this point, I need to make every second, every minute count, and I need to start writing more compelling stories. I need to play the game a little bit more, and I'm slowly figuring it out. I think last week or the week before, whenever it was, I had a video actually finally straight off the bat hit the algorithm. It got some good love. If you've joined along, if you've subscribed and you're following the channel because you came along with that video, thank you so much for being here. It's my honor to be talking to you right now. And I think just through pure trial and error over the last 100 videos, I'm just very, very slowly learning how to make it a bit more consistent in that way. Anyway, so the podcast has been that for me. It's been a way that I can get these things off my chest and say things that I can't say in a video otherwise, or, perhaps even flesh out ideas and figure things out for myself. I know a lot of those sessions that I did with Kurt were like my own personal photography therapy. And I really appreciate Kurt for that. I am absolutely planning to have Kurt involved in the future. Honestly, it's been a real grind to the finish this year. Like this last month, I would say, I've really, really struggled to make my deadlines. And I've got the podcast up consistently every week. Some days I've gone over by a day, like there might be, instead of 7 days, there might be 8 days or whatever. Some day it'll bleed into let's say I upload on Wednesday, maybe the next week I don't upload until Sunday. So technically it's a week and a half, but I'm pretty sure I haven't missed a week altogether. You know what I mean? I've sometime in the next week, even if it's a day late or whatever, I've got it up. So very proud of that. Like I said, I am very much planning to have Kurt involved. Kurt is I would consider him over the course of this journey to be one of my best friends, I think. We've spent a lot of time on here talking, and I like to think that he's got something out of this as well, that he has grown and learnt along with me. When I look back at the person I was 52 episodes ago, I see a very, very different person. Obvious things are I'm a dad now, and there's been a whole lot of growing and learning personally that's come along with that. But, just in general, I think I'm a more stable and rounded person. I'm confident in who I am. And more importantly, I'm more confident in my abilities as a photographer. I think for a while there, I've talked about this before, but I actually didn't know if I really wanted to do photography. When I started the channel back up, I think the main goal that I set out in that first video, the return, was that my job, my guiding star of starting up the channel and doing this again was to fall back in love with photography. And in that regard, I have to say that, this has been a great success. I do genuinely love photography and think about photography all the time. And I take photos every day. And I am grateful for that. It's nice to reflect a little bit on the last year. I really haven't taken the time to do it other than just writing down a few notes really quickly before this episode. But yeah, I really have I think just found my place a little bit more in this world and found my place a little bit more as a photographer. So yeah, absolutely stay tuned. If you do enjoy the podcast and you have enjoyed the podcast, I would absolutely love to hear from you, even if it's just a direct message. And I hate to come across as just begging for interaction or comments or whatever. I promise that's not what it's about, but I just need some confirmation because, on average now, I'd say we're getting 100 views a week. And the funny thing is, in terms of like podcast, in terms of like YouTube views, 100 is nothing. And for someone to look at it, it's not very impressive. When you think about 100 people like in a room, or, even if I translate that to downloads on the audio version, for the audio version of a podcast, you look at downloads, and 100 downloads of people actually, tuning into to hear your voice on their commute or whatever every week, that for some reason feels a lot more special to me. So yeah. If you've been along, if you're one of the faithful who listens every week, and I know there's a lot of people that do listen every week that never interact and never comment. In fact, I run into people in real life, and they tell me about things that have happened on the podcast, and I had no idea that they even listened. So that's really cool. But yeah, if you have enjoyed it, I would love, even if it's just a little DM or direct message, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear feedback. And yeah, I'm just really looking for it is validation, I suppose, but I'm looking for some direction. I want to know that this is the right thing to do. Otherwise, maybe I just don't do the podcast and I focus on the video, because for now that's going to be a better, return on investment on my time. Yeah, so I think one thing that's been really instrumental for me in terms of falling back in love with photography, I know when I did start making videos again, I actually thought that the easiest thing to do might just be to make tutorials, like Photoshop tutorials or whatever, because in my mind, it just seemed easier and more comfortable to just make videos from my desk, just to sit here and not go out and shoot and not push myself, I suppose, because it is difficult to do on your own. And I've had a little bit of help here and there, but for the most part, I just strap on my GoPro, I just set up my camera on a tripod behind me, and I just capture the best I can while I'm shooting, because unfortunately it is very, very difficult to do it all at once, to do a good job of everything. And every single video, there's times where the camera runs out or the GoPro stops recording or a memory card is full and I haven't realized, and I've missed out on a lot of footage. And it's fine, you make it work in the end, or you find a different way to tell the story, but it does definitely slow things down, and it makes it more difficult if you have to, it makes it more difficult if you have to, after the fact, try and craft a story around those missing pieces. Like I said, editing takes a long, long time, at least one full day, if not two. Yeah. So getting out there and doing these shoots, planning these shoots, even if I don't have anything booked that week, my time is just so precious and valuable at the moment. I literally have no time for anything. Like I get these videos out and just by the skin of my teeth every single week. And maybe that's just purely the deadline that's making me do it. But for whatever reason, yeah, the last month or so, I just feel like I've really been falling behind. But where I'm going, I know I'm rambling. I tend to do this a lot. I'm sorry, it's late at night. And it's already past my bedtime. Where I'm going with this is the best thing for me photographically and for my mental health and just for my self-confidence has been just to book these shoots consistently, even if I don't have something booked, I don't have a freelance job or something interesting to shoot. I'll find something interesting. And I think not only is that the best way to build yourself up as a photographer, build your portfolio, build your confidence, and just further your craft, get your 10,000 hours in and really work on your craft. I also think it's the best way to earn some more freelance work, because that was not my goal at all. In fact, I really wanted to spend all my time doing this channel, but in being busy and doing these shoots, and I think the key thing here is if you're going to do it, if you're going to do an unpaid shoot, if you're going to do something for free for someone, and I suppose it's not completely for free because what I'm doing is I'm a lot of the time, with the barber or the sandwich shop or whatever, I'm finding something that I can make content about. If you are going to do it like this and not get paid for it, rig the game. Find something that you are really interested in shooting and passionate about shooting. And not just that, something that you can absolutely knock out of the park, because the truth is when you are getting paid for something, you are working to someone else's brief, someone else's deadline, and someone else's vision, quite frankly. You might get hired based on your look or your editing style or whatever, but realistically, you're not making the photos for yourself. You're making them for the purpose of someone else. And there is something really special in that place that comes from just making something great because you're really passionate about the thing. So I've made a conscious effort. I was trying to do it every second week. Pick someone, a business, a person, a creator, a maker, an artisan, someone that's making something, and go and shoot them in their space. That has been just so cathartic for me. And it's amazing. Just through doing that and through posting that, this time last year, I hated Instagram. I just thought maybe I'll just delete it. Maybe it's not even worth me having. Absolutely hated it. And Facebook too, to be honest, just what a suck of my time and life. But now having something to post and share, and something that's authentic and something that's actually quality, because like I said, I've sort of handpicked these things, people that I, want to network with, people that I can offer some value to and can hopefully in the future offer some value to me. Because the way this kind of works is you do a good job of one and, you get a little bit of a referral, or you get some social proof, something that you can show the next person or pitch to someone else, or perhaps someone sees that shoot and hits you up. And without even trying, I've ended up with a lot more freelance work over the last 6 months, just from putting out great stuff online and making sure everyone knows and, remembers that I'm a photographer and, I am a skilled photographer. Not to blow smoke up my own ass. That's not what I'm trying to say here, but I've been doing this for long enough that, I actually know my shit a little bit. That might sound cocky, but I don't think it is cocky. I think it's just self-esteem. I'm usually a very modest person, but I've been doing this for long enough. I think I've earned that. Self-respect and self-esteem. And these shoots they've just done wonders for me. And if you take nothing away from this whole rambling talk, if you don't have enough freelance work, or you want to get more freelance work, then in your spare time, find something that you can absolutely just alley-oop, just, hit a home run with, knock out of the park, something you're really interested in, and work out a way to shoot that and do a fucking awesome job of it. Because, that has been the best thing for me. One other thing a quick topic I want to touch on. Last night is today, the time I'm recording this, it's the 1st of December, but last night, which was a Wednesday night, I had some friends down, a band called Waxflower, in particularly a photographer friend, Nick Hargens. Not sure if you're watching or listening, Nick. Oh, excuse me. Nick, who's a very talented photographer in his own right. We were chatting a few weeks ago and he said he's going to be down for a secret show with Kiss Chasey, which is an awesome band, one of my favorite bands growing up. And I sort of agreed to come along. Closer to the date, we said, let's do a little shoot, take some pictures. And, yesterday I had a massive day at work. I'm just tired this week, the dad life, up several times in the night, a young 8-month-old that's teething, and anyway, all of that. I'm exhausted. After work, I just thought I could so easily weasel out of this. It would be so easy to just make an excuse and not do it. But one thing that I try to always be is someone who says the things, who does the things that they say they're going to do, which is so much harder than it sounds. Anyway, I drove all the way out to the show. It was nearly an hour. And the band had a very short window of time before they had to be back at the venue to do a sound check. And by the time we got out there and sort of started doing this shoot, Dan, the drummer from the band, he said to me, we actually have to be back at the venue in 15 minutes. Is that okay with you? And, I could tell he kind of felt a little bit bad because I'd come down and, made the effort and whatever. And to be honest, it's no one's fault. I suppose it's my fault for taking too long, having other commitments or whatever. But I really wanted to get the shoot done and I really wanted to make a video. So I ran back to my car. I got my, memory cards for my GoPro and my little camera and whatever. And in that moment, I decided on exactly the video that I was going to make. And I'm hoping it's going to come out in the next week or two. And I hope it translates because it was really exciting and really fun to do. And I don't know if this has ever been done before, but I think it might be a world first. I did the world's first X100V, the world's first band photography, band promo speed run. So literally I put up a timer on my phone with 15 minutes on it. And I said to the boys, okay, the timer is on. What we're going to do is we're going to do a full shoot here within 15 minutes. Not only am I going to shoot them, I'm going to, edit them. The photos are processed in the camera and I'm going to deliver them to you within the 15 minutes. And I won't spoil it for you, but basically we ran around. We got 3 or 4 different looks and the idea was to get the boys back to the venue and transfer the photos, get the photos from the camera, deliver a final product onto the phone of one of the boys in the band so they're ready to go inside the 15 minutes. And it was challenging, but it was so, so much fun. And constraints breed creativity. I think it was an amazing use of our time. And I definitely got some great shots. They're not all fantastic. They can't all be. Another thing is when you're doing it like that, shooting that way, and especially with the X100V, with the little Fuji camera that I had, you can't be shooting with a normal band promo shoot. Each setup I might shoot 50, 60 shots. Because group shots, someone's always going to be blinking and you might not like an expression or you might want to take your time and work on the poses. But this one was like, bang, I maybe had to do 10, 12 shots in each location. I had to be very efficient. But yeah, we got some really cool stuff. I don't want to spoil the ending of the video because I hope that if you are a, dedicated watcher of the channel, dedicated viewer, then I think you might really enjoy it when it comes out. But damn, it was so much fun and so interesting. And I'm going to try and work that concept into something else in the future because I think that's got legs. I think that's a great idea. Just like with the recent video that I did with Chris, giving the X100V to a novice to see if they can take great pics. I'm going to try and do something similar to that again because if there's an audience, if YouTube is serving that video to an audience and they're enjoying it, they're viewing and interacting like they are, it'd be lovely to give YouTube an excuse to serve them up something similar and send them back to the channel. I think that's a smart thing to do. Okay, I'm ending it there for now. I don't really know what to say. Thank you so, so, so much from the bottom of my heart if you have been around for the full year. This is the end of Big Photo Boys as you know it in its current format. I've certainly learned a lot this year. It's not been easy, but I've enjoyed every minute and I'm so proud of what I've done and I'm so proud of, what Kurt and I have done. And I'm also just so grateful for Kurt, for being there with me for so, so many weeks. He must have done at least 25, 30 of the 50 odd weeks with me. But yeah, this is the closing of the chapter. There is no tool of the week this week. I just want to say thank you if you've been a part of the ride. If you have any suggestions or feedback, please drop them in a comment, send me a DM, email, whatever. I would love to hear from you. I'm still unsure of what I want to do in the future, but the podcast I think most likely won't exist in the same format that it is now. Thanks again for watching. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Comment something thoughtful down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.